Welcome to Mornings with Patricia. Happy Wednesday. So again, I'm doing Neville and the book, The Complete Works, and this one is from his book, The Law and the Promise. So I'm interested in this because I've been noticing some pain in my back, and I know other people have been having pain in their back telling me. So I'm going to share what Neville discovered, and I'm going to work with this. He says, for 39 years, I had suffered from a weak back. The pain would increase and decrease, but would never leave completely. The condition had progressed to the point where I used medical treatment almost constantly. The doctor would put the right hip for the moment, put the hip right for the moment, but the pain simply would not go away. One night I heard, this is somebody who's writing to him. I'm sorry, this is not Neville. One night I heard you speak of revision and wondered to myself if a condition of almost 40 years could be revised. I had remembered that at the age of 3 or 4 years I had fallen backward from a very high swing and had been quite ill at that time because of a serious hip injury. From that time on, I had never been completely free from pain and had paid many a dollar to alleviate the condition to no avail. This year, during the month of August, the pain had become more intense, and one night I decided to test myself and attempt to revise that ancient accident, which might have been the cause of so much distress and pain and costly medical fees most of my adult life. Many nights passed before I could feel myself back to the age of childhood play. But I succeeded. One night I actually felt myself on that swing, feeling the rush of wind as the swing rose higher and higher. As the swing slowed down, I jumped forward, landing solidly and easily on my feet. In the imaginal action, I ran to my mother, insisted that she come watch what I could do. I did it again, jumping down from the swing and landing safely on my 2 feet. I repeated this imaginal act over and over until I fell asleep in the doing of it. Within 2 days, the pain in my back and hip began to recede, and within 2 months, pain no longer existed for me. A condition that had plagued me for more than 39 years, that had cost a small fortune in attempted cure, was no more. J.H., somebody by the name of J.H. And so what Neville said is, it is to the pruning shears of revision that we owe our prime fruit. Man and his past are one continuous structure. One continuous structure, right? No such thing as time. This structure contains all of the past, which has been conserved and still operates below the threshold of his senses to influence the present and the future of his life. The whole is carrying all of its contents with it. Any alteration of content will result in an alteration in the present and the future. The first act of correction or cure is always revise. So, I can't remember his name. He's a chiropractor, but he does something called matrix energetics. And he does that, he does like a revision and has had some remarkable experiences with it. I think, we're so connected to past events. And like when I think about my back, and I'm working on this with my stomach, what happened to me at the age of 16, where I needed to have, where I almost died and had to have some of my intestines removed, that has been a story that I've taken with me. And I've also taken the story that my intestines are adhesed to my abdominal wall. So they can't do anything about it. I'm realizing more and more as I do this work that these are stories. And so I don't know how long it will take me. Maybe it'll take me one night, or maybe it'll take me 1 year. I really don't care, but I'm in the process of revision. And I'm just interested, because I understand that there's no such thing as time. And I know we carry all this with us, right? And it plays over and over and over in our field. So I wonder what it would be like for you if you could revise something, of your past, whatever that means. We seem to think it is a point in time, a happening. But through the process of revision, we can see that there's really no such thing as a point in time. But as we carry that memory with us, then we think it's a real thing, and of course we respond to the memory. But you can see from the memory of J.H., that he took something that was an accident and made a success and even told somebody else about it, right? His mother. And that, and he got to feel it. Because what Neville is saying is, in all of his work, is you need to feel it. Engage your five senses, engage all of yourself. And he does encourage in this work to imagine other people in the scenario that we're actually telling things to. And then as we do that, you see, because the mind does not know the difference between a thought and the real thing. And because the mind does not know the difference between a thought and a real thing, it'll respond to whatever the input is, and the body follows. Everything follows, right? And then you get to be this conscious creator of the life you want. It's phenomenal work. It's a phenomenal journey that can take us to places we can only imagine, right? Whatever you want to experience, physically, mentally, emotionally, you get to experience yourself as the conscious creator, and isn't that incredible? Isn't that just absolutely incredible? I suppose it could go in the early years of New Thought. One of the big things that they always talked about was longevity or eternal life. That there was no reason to die, and although some of them lived a long time, they did die. And we're seeing with studies with aging now that well, does seem that there could be a sort of fountain of youth. And again, I don't know how I personally feel about that, because I'm not really connected to needing to live as Patricia forever. Whatever works. I mean, whatever happens is fine. It doesn't matter to me. But it always brings up interesting questions, like if you've ever read that children's book or seen the movie Tuck Everlasting, right? Do we want to be immortal in the physical form? I think it's a moot point for me, because I know we're already immortal. I know I'm immortal. So it's kind of a moot point for me. I don't know that I need to have a physical experience forever. So, but anyway, I'm getting a little bit off track. It's been a long day, and I'm doing 2 of these tonight in order to make sure that you have them for next week. But I guess my point is, is that all of that aside, this revising things, is an amazing healing tool as well. And I've been thinking about, like, for relationships, right? If we've had past hurts, and I'm going to work on that with some of my past relationships, and look at that and go, because if it happens on a physical level, right? If we were unkind, or someone was unkind to us, what would it be like if we revised that? How would we have wanted it to be? Right? Maybe we're good at being where we are in our life, but we could revise that. Instead of having this story about somebody, we could have a different story, right? That instead of leaving them, we hugged them goodbye, and then we went on to a new experience, or whatever it is. But the point for me is, why would I keep anything in my body or my consciousness that creates pain for myself? If I really realize that I'm at choice to have a different experience, why wouldn't I make that choice to have a positive experience? And I'm not suggesting that you do that if you don't want to. I just don't. I'm not. I'm not tied to having people believe me, or needing things to be a certain way for anyone else. When I do these videos, it's just about sharing my perspective and my experiences, and you just take from them what works for you, and things that you don't believe or doesn't work, so be it. So anyway, if you get a chance, read Neville, because he did some interesting things. He helped people, like, for jobs. So people would say, okay, I'm going to go for this job. And then he would actually sit in his chair and envision for them with their permission, right? Because, you can't wish something for someone else, but without that would go against them. But he would actually envision for them, and go through and seeing them getting the job, and it was always a success. So it's interesting when you look at the world that way, because it's a lot more fluid. And we know from quantum physics that this is true, right? Because it's the observer effect. We know that the universe is very fluid, but it's not just what our eyes see, it's what our thoughts and mind create, and then we think we see. And therefore, the observer effect. But the observer effect really starts way back here in the consciousness. Remember I was saying the other day, use your consciousness as the point of the pencil. This is what Maharaj was talking about. And then from there, letting your mind go with the thoughts. So, okay, I'm going to make this a little bit of a shorter one tonight. I still have a little bit of hacking to do. So, anyway, I'm going up into the mountains, by the water, listening to the river. I fall asleep. We fall asleep at night in our tent, listening to the river. It's just so beautiful. I'm already there. Can you feel it? All right. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, I love myself. And I love you. And when I see you next Thursday, I'm sure I'm going to have fun things to share with you about the experiences in nature and what I noticed and maybe what it taught me. Okay. Thank you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye.